What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Timeless Season 1, Episode 11, The World's Columbian Exposition. So I don't know if this is coincidence or if this was done on purpose somehow, but this is the second episode in a row that is tied in with media elsewhere. What I mean by that is the first time they're doing the whole NASA launch to the moon and all of that, and then they meet a woman there, and she's this black woman who did not get enough credit because she was a black woman in this time. Next thing I know, I hear about a movie that's coming out all about this woman. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's coincidental. Well, this episode, two weeks ago on Sunday, Sherlock Season 4, Episode 2, The Lying Detective, the serial killer in that episode is talking about H.H. Holmes and how he's like pretty much his idol, who he looks up to, and why he became a serial killer type thing. And then this episode, we have H.H. Holmes in the murder house featured. I don't know if it's just coincidence or if it probably is just coincidence, but it's a very intriguing coincidence. But anyway, so we do have two kind of separate stories going on in this that tie together near the end. We have Flynn has captured Lucy, and now he's trying to use her to take out three big players in Rittenhouse, and that is Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, and J.P. Morgan. So, very interesting to find out that those three were in Rittenhouse, but he has this plan to detonate a bomb and blow all three of them up. So Lucy decides to enlist the help of Harry Houdini, which I kind of figured she was going to use him to escape from their predicament, because she says he can get himself out of any tight situation. I'm like, that's what you're about to use him for, aren't you? And so he does. He manages to capture Flynn. Of course, Flynn escapes, so he's still on the run. But yeah, it was interesting to see Harry Houdini and Lucy working together, and I just love how they presented Harry Houdini in this one. Like, he's just so confident in everything that he does. And one of the best lines in this episode is whenever Harry's talking to Lucy, and she's like, "How do you do it?" He's like, "I just realized fear isn't real. All I focus on is escape." And that's it. It's very interesting. I wonder if that is something Harry Houdini said at some point, or if somebody knows that's what he did. But it's a good theory, and Lucy ends up using it at the end of the episode as well. So the other thing going on is the H.H. Holmes and the murder house or murder castle of the World's Fair Hotel. So apparently Flynn and Rufus, not Flynn, Wyatt and Rufus were led there by Flynn to be captured by H.H. Holmes. I will say it was a little bit predictable. I don't know why, but just something about the way that it turned out to be George who was trapped in there with him. Something about the way he said certain lines. I don't know if they did it on purpose or if it was just he didn't say the lines right, but something about him just seemed off when they first entered. I'm like, what if he trapped himself in there with them? Like, that would be something that a serial killer like H.H. Holmes would do. So, I don't know. I figured that out pretty fast, that George was actually the one, and the guy that they showed walking around the hotel was just a scapegoat for us to be like, "Oh, there he is." And so at the end, whenever it turns out, "Oh, it's George," shocker! But it wasn't to be. But yeah, it was interesting to see them working together. It was kind of an emotional moment as well. Just them trying to help console these two people, kind of, because one of them was lying about it all. But yeah, it was, I mean, one of the things that I ended up reading about H.H. Holmes is the fact that he was a con artist. So he was very good at lying about things. And they said that his story ended because he got captured, but then he said he was going to tell them where he hid the bodies, and he didn't. Instead, he lied about it all. And so I was wondering, how's this going to end? Because this is a serial killer who's killed several women. Are they actually going to stop him? And so they finally get out with Lucy and Houdini's help, and then they're trying to find out who he is. And so they ask the one guy that was walking creepily around the hotel, and then Lucy sees the picture of H.H. Holmes, realizes it's George. George captures her, takes her down to the basement where he's got his little torture dungeon, and then Lucy uses her knowledge of H.H. Holmes to kind of get in his head and convince him she's a psychic, and now he's freaking out, and that gives Wyatt and Rufus enough time to show up and save the day. And probably one of my favorite scenes in this episode is that scene where we see Wyatt's got the gun trained on him, and he's asking Lucy, is he telling the truth? And because I read it, I knew, no, he's not telling the truth. And so I was just waiting, like, what is she going to say? Is she going to let Wyatt kill him, or is she going to do the right thing and make sure history stays the same? And then she's like, no, he lies about it all and sells the story for profit, and then Wyatt kills him. I'm like, holy crap, that's intense. And the thing is, once again, it's these little minute changes happening in the timeline. And we're not really seeing the effect of that. This woman that was captured by H.H. Holmes, she was some sort of MIT architect, like, probably somebody who's really, really, really smart, but died at the hands of H.H. Holmes originally. So the question is, what happens now that she's still alive? What does that change in the timeline? If there's anybody that he killed after her, what would that change in the timeline? The fact that he's dead, what does that change in the timeline? The fact that Harry Houdini saved Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, and J.P. Morgan, and they know that he saved them, what does that change in the timeline? All these little things, a couple of them could be major, but I don't know. After what they did with the Hindenburg, after seeing how the Hindenburg not crashing saved the life of somebody who ended up marrying one of Lucy's, or one of their ancestors married one of Lucy's parents or something like that, and so that ended up causing her to be without a sister and her mom to have married somebody else. I want to see changes like that happening. I want to see, okay, well, this person didn't die, so what does that change? This person did die, what does that change? We're not seeing any of that. And while I love this episode and what they did with it, and the fact that, I like the team aspect. I like Lucy, Wyatt, and Rufus working together, and seeing in this episode how Lucy has to be the one to step up and save the day using her smarts, and then Wyatt ends up saving her at the end because she managed to distract H.H. Holmes long enough. I love all of that, but I want to see the time travel aspect focused on a bit more. I want to see, okay, they changed this, they saved this person, so it did this, and that led to this. Something got built a bit sooner because this woman who was very smart and a good architect, she managed to figure out how to do it, which she wouldn't have in the original timeline because she wasn't alive. I don't know. I don't know how they would do it, just because one of the reasons we saw what happened with Lucy and her family is because she managed to save her, like, I guess, family tree or something like that. She managed to figure out how all of that worked out, what was different with this timeline, because it was personal with her. So obviously seeing what's different in other people's lives, that's pretty hard to do. It's not like they could just be like, oh, well, we have this little computer here that keeps track of all the timelines and what you've altered with them. Obviously that doesn't exist. But I would like to see somehow if they could show us, just the audience, if we could see what's different now, what changed. I would like to see that. Just, little things like that. It's the minute details that I think really can make or break a show. And I think it's very close to being a really, really, really good show. Right now it's just really good. It could be amazing if they would start to focus on those minute details and really focus on what is all of this time travel doing. So that's about it for this episode. Going forward, obviously Flynn told Wyatt at the end about the guy who killed his wife, and so now it's a question of, is Flynn going to go back in time and try to kill this guy's parents? Maybe. I have a feeling that, because Flynn knows Wyatt won't be able to travel back by himself, I have an idea that Flynn will probably travel back to a time period where his wife's, or Wyatt's wife's killer's parents are, so that way Wyatt will have the chance to do it and see what Wyatt is going to do about that. I don't know. It's something that I think Flynn would do, something to really kind of get into Wyatt's head, try to convince him to be a bit more like him, because that's what he's doing with Rittenhouse. That's what he's doing right now. He's trying to destroy the organization that had his wife killed. He's going to try to get Wyatt to do that at some point as well for his wife's killer. So I do like the connection that they have, and honestly, even though Flynn in this one was a bit more of a straight-on bad guy, I've loved the fact that it's been kind of, oh, he's doing bad things, but you could see his reasoning. This one, he was a lot more just like straight up, he's a villain, he's a bad guy. But I don't know, I like the fact that it's still not 100% straightforward with him. Like watching Lucy and Harry Houdini up there on stage, he has this smile on his face that I think is genuine. I think even though Lucy right now is completely opposed against him, and he says she's expendable because she's not helping him, even though her journal says she would, I think he wouldn't have the balls to do it. I don't think he has really the will to kill her because I think he likes her. Not maybe not like that, but I do think that there is some affection there that he will keep him from killing Lucy, even though she's not helping him and she's trying to oppose him. So, very interested to see where all of this is leading to. I don't know how long the second half of the season will be, but we are in the second half of the season, I believe. So, yeah, it's a good setup. I really like what they're doing with it so far. It's been a really good first season. I hope they continue to make it even better from here on out. So, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What did you like and dislike about this episode? Let me know what we can talk about and discuss, all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future timeless reviews, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.